Hello and welcome to a smerdp video, and next up in the Gamerverse from Marvel is War Machine versus Omega Red from Marvel Legends. And there they are in the packaging. There is the gamer side there, which looks awesome, and there they are in the background doing, I guess, some sort of scene. So James Rhodes suits up as War Machine, going head to head against Omega Red and his weaponized cybernetic tentacles. Whew. Excited to get these open. So let's have a closer look at both these figures. All right, so here they are out of the packaging. I was going to say mean green, but that's not right. And Omega Red. Terrible start. So let's look at, I almost said Iron Man then. Terrible again. So we have sort of like a bluish metallic rather than, I think, the gray look. And I'm presuming this is off the game. I can't actually remember. But it's nice to have an Iron Man. I love the fact, if you're looking there, it looks all like tentacles in there. Nice detail on there. It looks very smooth and very sort of robotic. And the same with the back. And then you've got the sort of armored pants and shoulder pads and boots. And I love this gimmick here. I'm sure I've seen this gimmick before, but I do like it, where you can simply lift that up and maybe knock his thing around, maybe rotate that round like so. And I think that is a great little gimmick. Now I think we have seen War Machines recently that are better. This doesn't come with a James Rhodes head sculpt either, which I think is a little bit disappointing. So they have cut it down, and considering this was probably the cheaper of the 2-packs, I feel like it was perhaps a slightly missed opportunity for Hasbro to give us the best looking Hasbro. But those that are probably quite obsessed with Iron Man, War Machine, probably had that Ultimate figure, which has a little bit more. So he comes with a blaster, which you can just shove in there, which I think looks great. You can lift that up like so. Come on, don't fall over. And he also comes with this, which is probably my most disappointing thing, because it doesn't actually come with the little sort of pointed stand that you just sort of sit it on, so you can sit him firing a rocket out. I would have rather them create so that this back pit pops off and you could just poke it in there. I feel like that would have been better. It just feels like maybe a waste. And it may not have been a waste, but you could have had Omega Red grabbing it, and he sort of holds it, but sort of doesn't. That would have been cool, I feel. Missed opportunity, in my opinion. And then you've got the 2 open palm hands. However, you've got no blast effects to go with it. So, once again, I go back to that default. If you've been collecting Marvel Legends for a while, you may have a couple of them. I'm pretty sure I do somewhere. No idea where. But I may try and find them before the time I get to the end of this video. So just taking that off and dropping that down. So articulation is like so. He has nice movement on the head. He can look up as well, which I think is good if you get him into a flight pose. This is sort of rubbery, so you can sort of move it around. It does go with the arm as well. You can lift up like so. There is movement on the ball joint in there, but I'm going to struggle to get my hands in there. Let me just... So you can see you got that movement there. You got double pinless on the arms, which I think is very important, and it makes it look a little bit better. Now, because this piece is quite thick, you're going to have to be very careful when bending this part of the forearm. Just be very careful. You got nice movement on the wrists. Then you've got this big piece here, so you've really only got an ab crunchy. Nice spin there on the waist. You can lift up like so, kick forward, and almost kick back. Nice swivel there. And you do have pin legs, so which is a little bit disappointing, considering the fact that, you know, you've got pinless up top. I think that is a little bit disappointing, personally. So let's, I guess, move quickly on Omega Red. Before the end, I will add in the repulsor hands as well, so we can have a look at them. So I've always been a big fan of Omega Red, and in particular, how amazing he actually looks. And I always liked the Toy Biz one. And then we finally got a release from Hasbro. And then we got this one. I'm looking at this now, and I'm trying to remember the other one because I think I sold that. And I'm wondering why I kept this one. This must have been better than the one before this one. But I'm still baffled by, you know, why I would choose white tentacles over the gray tentacles. So I just wanted to show them together. I think this came with 2 head sculpts. I can't be sure without looking, but I feel like it did come with 2 head sculpts. But yeah, certainly there is certainly a different feel between these two. And I'm not sure whether I'll keep this or not. I eventually sold the other one after a while. I don't think I sold it straight away. But I just wanted to show them together in particular. I mean, you know, so you can just understand why this looks so good. I mean, just look at that head sculpt. The detail on there is phenomenal. And that is why I collect figures, because I love the way that I look at them. It also brings me great joy and takes me back to my childhood and all that jazz. But yeah, just looking at the detail on that is just absolutely stunning. Now, you do get the same pieces as you did with the previous incarnation. So you get the 2 smaller ones. So he's sort of toying with you. And you can obviously take them out, which I think is very good, because the one before that just sort of shoved into his hands, if I remember rightly. It was sort of like the Sentinel tentacle. And it worked. It worked for a very long time. And, you know, without Toy Biz, would we really have what we have now? Probably not. Just, yeah, I mean, the rest is very, very straightforward in terms of outfit. You get 2 closed hands and 2 open hands. You can take that off. So we can look at articulation. So head can sort of move around. You got these pieces here, which are always going to affect articulation on the upper pieces. Sort of a little bit rubbery, but I wouldn't try to test it. You got a nice little swivel in there. You do have a swivel on the ball, but it is tight as well. Then you got double on the arms, swivel on the hand, and the hand can pop out if you haven't put it in place properly. Nice up and down. He does have a nab, crunchy, but you have to be careful of this piece here, because you don't want to damage that. Nice swivel there. Apologies, knocking my camera, nothing new. Kick forward, sort of kick to the right. Bollocks get in the way of the kick back. It is pinned legs as well, which yeah, is a little bit disappointing. But, you know, this is probably the cheaper of, is it 5, 6 sets? It's quite a few sets, actually. 2 of them are deluxe. So he has a really nice bit of range on him as well. And then, obviously, he's got the big tentacles as well. So just, they're exactly the same as the white tentacles from the previous incarnation. And you just sort of slot them in there. And you can, I mean, you've got this bit sort of designed, but you can sort of flex around, which I think is very, very important. Now, the other thing that I wanted to do before I just get them into some form of fighting pose is put on the repulsor hands, and that's the wrong hand. So I do have some effects from downstairs. I think, trying to remember what this one's for, and you can just plug that in like so. So if you've been collecting Marvel Legends for a while, you may have a couple of these dangling down, but I think it is still disappointing that you don't have them already in there. You can also take them and put them on there for blasters as well, which I think is a very important piece as well, because he's not hovering on thin air, is he? Now, I would say that this is a little bit bulky, especially with that in there, so do be careful. You could end up, over time, affecting your figure's stance. So, yeah, so just to sort of wrap it up, I am going to put them into some sort of fighting pose. This will either work out very well or it will be a disaster in the making. Okay, so just before I go on to that epic final scene, hopefully it's epic, could be a disaster. Here we have Omega Red with both of them with the tentacles on. I also found the additional head that came with this particular figure. However, he didn't come with the additional hands, which I know, but he did have two heads, so which I think is nice. And then obviously you've got just the gritted teeth one here. It is I think I'm gonna have to make a decision whether I decide, do I keep this, because I don't need lots of Omega Reds in my collection, let's be honest. He's sort of like a one trick pony, and that's not because he's got a ponytail. But yeah, I just wanted to show them together before I change that. You can also move the ponytail around, which I forgot about, so you can do that. But yeah, still, this is still an all right figure, but this is certainly feels like an upgrade for me in terms of it's the paint details off the figure that make it all that more amazing. So without ado, let's go to the final scene. I think I was always going to find this hard because I haven't got the best stand in the world. It does its job, but when it comes to figures that are just slightly a little bit heavier, it does not hold at all. Hence, me needing to invest in new stands at some point. However, I think I've done all right. We've got some nice coils going around War Machine's body. Bear in mind, he's trying to drain, but he may have a bit of trouble with that. So you can imagine electric pulse. We can also see down here, I've got him shooting a very appropriate area, and you know he's trying to blast there as well. There are probably plenty of options that you could go for with these two figures that are probably a lot better than this. However, I think this is pretty cool, if I'm being honest with you. I quite enjoyed messing around with this for a few minutes, and it was a few minutes of pain, but hey, it is what it is. So anyway, I hope you like my video. If you do, please do support my channel by subscribing. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you look after yourself, and as always, embrace the geekiness. Take care. Goodbye.